As excitement builds with the casual competitor for next-gen gaming, I've got 7 tips for playing NBA 2K21. It's Mr. Hurst, and this is Sim Sports Gaming Network. Welcome to Sim Sports Gaming Network, your place for 2K tips, strategies, simulation gameplay, and breakdowns. If you like what you see, don't forget to tap that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. I'm going to give you a few tips to help you get the most out of NBA 2K21. Now, before I get started, I do want to say that this is just one guy's opinion. I've played the last couple of 2Ks and I have a few things that I think are going to help save you a bit of money, but in the end, it all comes down to the person who bought the game decides how they want to play it. So take everything I have to say with a grain of salt. With that being said, let's get into the first tip. Tip number 1, stop playing my career games. If your goal is to play in the park, the rec, or pro-am against other players, then you're wasting your time playing my career games, in my opinion. In order to build up your attributes and badges, you can go into the neighborhood games and do the same thing, only you're earning rep while you do it. And rep gives you the most incentives in the game as you progress. So in my opinion, it makes more sense to just earn your attributes and badges while you're earning rep so that you get the most out of the game. 2K needs a separate system in order to give those same incentives to people who just want to play my career and enjoy the simulation playing against the AI. But since they don't, it makes more sense to just play in those neighborhood games since you get the most out of doing that. Tip number 2, research builds. There are a lot of reputable players out there that go through the trouble of checking out all the builds and figuring out which builds work the best based on different play styles and what people like to do. And I'm telling you right now, since they basically charge you $50 per build, it makes more sense if you're trying to have, the best player out there for your play style. It makes a lot of sense to go research what some people have already done, put out there, and then if you want to, you can just use that as a kind of a framework to build your own player. And I've done that with some of these guys, and sometimes I even end up with having a badge spread that's even better than the one that they put out, and it ends up working for me. So at $50 a pop, you might want to invest in looking at some people that have taken the time to do that. A few examples would be, let's see, we got LaMonsta. He's got some videos out there. We've also got ClxtchTV as well as Jack Build, to name a few. The only thing that I would ask is if you get out there and you got people asking about your build when you've referenced one of them, just give those guys credit. They do appreciate it when you do that kind of stuff. Tip number 3, my career versus the neighborhood. My career games simply do not transfer into the neighborhood games. And if you've only been playing my career and you jump into the neighborhood, it does not take long to realize, as I did, that you're trash. And it's not because I or players out there don't have basketball IQ, but they don't have 2K IQ to match the basketball IQ. The game is a video game, and so there are certain things that just don't work the way that real basketball works. But your 2K IQ can bridge the gap with your basketball IQ if you'll learn the badge setups and basically the meta that it takes to compete at a semi-competitive level. Otherwise, it's just simply not going to work out. The game doesn't exactly transfer over from in real life basketball IQ to 2K IQ. You have to do some things to kind of bridge that gap. Tip number 4, it's a random's life. Unless you know some people that you can immediately get on and play with, it's going to be a random's life for you. And unfortunately, there's a few things you're going to have to come to terms with if you haven't dealt with those things already. 1, you will likely run into squads. 2, your team will likely be trash if it's full of randoms. 3, your teammates will likely quit within the first minute of the game, and your team will likely lose by 50. It is just the reality. There are squads out there that have been playing together for a while. They have high 2K and basketball IQ. And when you're playing with randoms that have never played with each other and you really don't know their skill level, you're likely to get blown out, as I discovered when I was a random. But on the flip side, I have also played with randoms who we developed a chemistry right away, and we were playing against squads, because you would have to be with a squad really to run into a team that all of a sudden jumps into a 2-3 or a 3-2 or a 1-3-1 or whatever defense is out there, or they start setting double screens and people are flowing to specific parts of the court. You know you're running into a squad when that happens. But even with all that going on, I have been on those teams where that can happen. Even if you're by yourself, you still have the benefit of learning how another squad operates. And if you have a couple of people left on your team, you can also learn how to work with those players in order to get a few buckets here or there. But you're better off just staying in the game, because at the very least, you're going to get your rep and you're going to get your attributes and badge points. So that's worth, learning the ropes and taking your losses as they come. Tip number 5, know your build and play your role. If you have a defensive build, focus on defense. Shooters, shoot the ball when you're open. Slashers, get to the rim, cut back door, catch lobs. Playmakers, make plays, get your teammates the ball and let them eat. A team of randoms can beat a squad if they work together. It is a team game. It ain't about you. Stay in your lane. Play your role. Do I really need to say anything else about it? Tip number 6, join a community. You would be surprised how easy it can be to find a willing community with properly medicated players to run with. I found myself checking out different YouTubers and was gravitating towards this one cat, AllCityLiveTV. You may have heard of him, but I commented on one of his videos and he highlighted my comment and then sent me an invite to join his Discord to talk about it. And I did that, got into Discord, and there was a whole bunch of other people there. And before long, I was finding myself running with this group of guys on a regular basis. And from there, we ended up kind of forming a team because we played together most of the time. And now we start playing on each other's Pro-Am teams, and we run with each other. Now we're talking about what things are going to look like moving into 2K21. So join a community, put yourself out there. The worst people can say is, no, we already got our 5 or whatever, but more than likely you're going to find a regular group of guys to run with. So you can find AllCityLiveTV in the description below. So tip number 7, discover your power. That's a little bit outside of the box from all the other tips, but social media has made it possible for anyone to have their voice heard. So if you have something that you're passionate about, others are likely passionate about it too. So be willing to put yourself out there, and you may find that there's an audience who is willing to listen, follow, and engage with what you have to say. There are all kinds of videos out there on how to get started. There are a few individuals that I like and subscribe to. Think Media with Sean Cannell is one. LAS Curry is another, who's a bit of a newer channel. And then Justin Brown with Primal Video. They all have excellent videos out there, and then those are just a few that put things in such a way that make it real easy for you to understand and get started. And so there's really no better time than now to go ahead and put yourself out there and share your passion with everybody out there, and you'll find that there are those that are willing to listen. Those are my 7 tips for success that I'm carrying over into NBA 2K21. If you like this kind of content, leave a comment and or some constructive feedback down below, and I will be more than happy to receive it. Just make sure that it's positive feedback, because it's positive vibes only. Remember to tap that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you'll know when the next video drops. Until next time, remember, love God, love people, peace.